All right, let's just get right into it. We are living through one of the biggest technological shifts maybe ever. So today, we're going to break down a framework for navigating this crazy, fast-moving world of AI. And look, more importantly, we're going to talk about how you can actually be a part of it.
I want you to seriously think about this for a second. What if you could go back, way back to 1995 and get in on the ground floor of the internet? I mean, think about the companies, the industries, the fortunes that were made. It completely reshaped the world. Well, guess what? That's kind of where we're at right now.
And let's be clear, this isn't just another tech buzzword. No. This is a massive foundational shift on the same level as the internet itself. And whenever that happens, it cracks open this incredible but very temporary window of opportunity.
Okay, so let's call this what it is. It's an AI gold rush. And the reason we're calling it that is because the opportunity right now is, well, it's asymmetric. What does that mean? It means it's not a level playing field. And honestly, that's exactly what makes it so interesting.
First off, let's talk about speed. The rate at which AI is being adopted is just insane. It's truly unprecedented. Look at this. More than half of US companies are already using AI. This isn't some pie-in-the-sky prediction for the future. It's happening right now, at a breakneck pace.
Okay, but here's the twist. This is where it gets really interesting. While adoption is going through the roof, almost half of those same companies, they admit they don't really get it. They don't have a deep understanding of what they're even doing. It's like everyone's scrambling to buy the tool, but very few actually know how to use it properly.
And that right there, that gap between adoption and understanding, that is the whole game. That's the asymmetric opportunity we're talking about. It's this moment in time, this market inefficiency, where the people who do understand have a massive advantage.
So, okay, if it's a gold rush, you can't just start digging anywhere, right? You need a map. The AI world can seem super complex, but we can actually break it down into 4 key layers. This is how we find where to dig. Let's start at the bottom. Layer 1, core infrastructure. Think of these as the picks and shovels of the gold rush. You literally can't do anything without them. We're talking about the powerful computer chips, the GPUs, and the massive cloud computing services. This is the absolute foundation.
All right, moving up a level, we've got layer 2. Enabling software and tools. So if the first layer was the raw materials, this layer is the workshop where you actually build stuff. These are the software platforms and tools that let developers take all that computing power and actually create, train, and deploy AI models.
Now, layer 3, this is where it starts to impact everyone's daily lives. AI-enabled enterprises. And listen, we're not just talking about tech startups here. We're talking about established companies in healthcare, in finance, you name it, that are using AI to get a serious competitive edge. They're becoming way more efficient in building these huge protective moats around their business. And finally, we have layer 4, the support services. You know, all that AI doesn't just run on magic. It takes a ton of power, it generates a crazy amount of heat. So this layer is all the stuff that has to exist to support the first 3. We're talking about data centers, energy grids, cooling systems, and of course, cybersecurity to protect it all.
So, there you have it, a quick recap of the whole ecosystem. From the chips themselves, to the software, to the companies using it, and all the infrastructure that holds it together. Getting this mental map is absolutely key to figuring out where you might want to play.
Okay, so we've got the map, we know the lay of the land. The big question now is, how do you actually get involved? How do you stake your claim in this gold rush? Well, there are basically 3 main ways to do it.
And what's so cool about this is that there's a path for pretty much everyone. You don't have to be a Silicon Valley coder. You can invest, you can build, or you can enhance. You can put your money to work, create something new, or just make yourself way more valuable in your current job. Let's break them down.
First up, pathway A, invest. This one's pretty straightforward. It's about using your capital. You can go the focused route, picking individual stocks in those layers we talked about, or if you want a broader approach, you can look at things like thematic ETFs. You know, funds like bots for AI and robotics, or even something like QQQ, which gives you exposure to a ton of the big tech players.
Okay, path number 2 is to build. This is for all the entrepreneurs out there. And the key here isn't just to build a cool gadget, it's to solve a real nagging problem for someone. Take this, for example, an AI tool that digs through public records every single day to find new leads for real estate agents. That's a real pain point, solved.
Or how about this one? Building a secure, private AI just for a law firm. You train it on all their past documents, and suddenly it can spit out standard contracts in a few minutes instead of a few hours. That's not just a product, that's a game changer for that firm. You're solving a huge, expensive problem.
And the final path, enhance, is really for everybody, no matter what you do. If you've got a small business, you can use these tools to completely supercharge your marketing, your customer service, and your operations. And if you're a professional, a marketer, a lawyer, a writer, whatever, you can use AI to augment your own skills and make yourself 10 times more valuable.
Okay, so we've got the map, we've got the paths, but there's one last, really crucial piece to this puzzle. Timing. Because this whole asymmetric opportunity we've been talking about, it has an expiration date. Look, we've seen this movie before, right? With the PC, with the internet, there's always this golden window where the early adopters get a huge advantage. But eventually, the technology just becomes normal. It's expected. And the clock is definitely ticking here. The general consensus is that by around 2030, this special advantage will be gone. AI will just be table stakes, the cost of entry to even compete.
So, that's the situation. The map is in your hands, you know the paths you can take, and you can hear that clock ticking. The AI gold rush is happening right now. So the only real question left is, where are you going to stake your claim?
All right, let's jump right in. Look, there's just no getting around it. We are living through an honest-to-goodness AI gold rush. I mean, capital is just flooding into the market, new tools are popping up literally every day, and it feels like the whole digital world is shifting under our feet. So, the big question is, how do you actually navigate all this? Well, that's exactly what this playbook is for.
You hear experts throwing around this phrase, a compelling asymmetric opportunity. But what does that actually mean in plain English? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It means the potential upside, the reward, is just massive, way bigger than the initial risk. But, and this is a big but, only if you play your cards right. You see, what we have right now is this perfect storm of two things colliding. On one hand, you've got massive mainstream adoption. Everybody wants in. And on the other, there's this huge knowledge gap. Not many people, even investors, really get what's going on under the hood. And that gap, that's where the opportunity is.
Which, of course, leads us to the million-dollar question, right? In a gold rush, it's so easy to get caught up in the frenzy. There are shiny new toys popping up everywhere you look. The real trick, the hard part, is figuring out what's real gold and what's just fool's gold. So how do you know where to place your bets?
Okay, so before we even get into the exciting stuff, where to invest your time or your money, we have to talk about the pitfalls. Seriously, the first step in any good playbook is knowing the lay of the land, and that means facing the market realities head-on and really understanding the big risks.
And this first risk, well, it's a big one. History doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme, right? Think about it. A massive flood of capital into a new tech space, valuations that go through the roof, and a super high failure rate. Does that ring a bell? It absolutely should. It's the exact same playbook from the dot-com era. The danger of a valuation bubble is very, very real, and that means a lot of the companies that are hot right now, well, they just aren't going to make it. Okay, risk number 2 is what we call rapid obsolescence. And the speed of AI development right now isn't just fast, it's absolutely breakneck. I mean, a tool or a model that feels like a complete game changer today could be old news in 6 months. Seriously. So if you're betting on just one specific piece of tech, you're taking a huge risk. Today's market leader could literally become tomorrow's history.
And that brings us to the third big risk, execution risk. Here's the deal. Just taking a cool AI model and wrapping it in a pretty interface, that's not a business. The novelty factor wears off really, really fast. A lot of startups are learning this the hard way. If you're not solving a real, painful problem for a specific group of people, you don't have a company. You just have a cool tech demo. The real money, the real success, comes from that old school, tried and true product market fit.
Okay, so we've laid out the minefield. We know the dangers. Now, let's flip the script. Let's talk about how to win. It's time to go from being cautious to acting with real conviction. And the good news is, there's a super clear 3-pronged strategy to get you there.
So here they are, the 3 pillars of conviction. First, allocate your capital. And I don't mean just chasing the hottest new app. I mean spreading it across the entire AI value chain. We're talking everything from the chips that power it to the foundational models, all the way to the end user applications. Second, build businesses. If you're an entrepreneur, don't try to boil the ocean. Find a specific industry, find an acute pain point, and solve that. And third, and this one's for everybody, integrate these tools. Start using them today to make yourself and your company smarter and more productive.
Let's just break that down one more time, make it really stick. It's a simple framework.
When it comes to capital, your action is to allocate, and your focus is the entire value chain. When it comes to businesses, your action is to build, and your focus is solving those acute pain points. And for your everyday tools, your action is to integrate with a focus on pure productivity. See? Each one has a clear action and a clear focus. Simple.
All right, let's wrap this up. This whole thing isn't about throwing darts at a board and hoping something sticks. It's about making smart moves with conviction. So here's the playbook, summarized.
So when you boil it all down, it's about playing both defense and offense. On the defensive side, you've got those three huge risks you always have to keep in mind. That valuation bubble,
The insane pace of technology making things obsolete, and that critical need for a real product market fit. But then, on offense, you have your three pillars to build on. Allocating that capital wisely, building businesses that actually solve problems, and integrating these tools to get a leg up on the competition. It's that balance that's key.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. The AI gold rush is here. That's a fact. The only question is, what role are you going to play? Are you going to be out there digging for gold, chasing that one killer app, that one breakthrough model? Or are you going to be the one selling the shovels, building the tools, the platforms, the infrastructure that everyone else needs to succeed? Your answer to that question, well, that's your playbook.